Welcome. Thank you all for being here so much. I'm excited to tell you what's been going on at Metro. I'm going to do the best I can to represent an incredible amount of work in a fairly short period of time. And I got to say, I'm like mildly uncomfortable with being the one to present the great work that all of our team does at Metro. Um, I think that sometimes as a remote organization, we have to do these annual meetings as a remote event. But there's a big part of my heart that wishes we were all together in a room or in the outdoors together so that you could hear directly from all of the people who do all of this great work. So I will do the best I can to represent all of them, but just know that there's an incredible team at Metro. Let's start by thanking our amazing board of directors. And I want to call each of them out individually. Shannon Mattern, our president, Nick Buron, our vice president, Stephen Barry, our treasurer. We've got Austin Booth, Nick Higgins, Patricia Sway, Melissa Jacobs, Carol Matute, Leah Meisterlin, Jesse Montero, and Camila Rashid, as well as some new and returning board members. Jim Neal was a past board member who's coming back, and Karen Fairbanks and Terry Kirchner. These are all folks who come from our member institutions, leaders in the field, and they put up with me as the executive director, and I'm really grateful to them for that. I also want to recognize each and every person who works at Metro. Again, like they are the ones who do all of the work that I'm going to be talking about, and they're like truly wonderful and amazing people. That's Mary, that's Kyle, that's Tim, that's Anne, that's Allison, Tracy, Shelley, Diego, Mark, Becca, and Colin. And then there's like kind of a cool surprise built into this part of the presentation. Shannon Mattern, who was our board president for something like 8 or 9 years, is making a big shift. We are excited to, well, we're sad to see her leave the board, but we're super excited to have her join our team and be part of the staff at Metro as the new director of creative research and practice. So as I present all of these cool projects that everybody's doing at Metro throughout this show, know that there's going to be yet another category coming where Shannon in this role is going to start to connect our membership even more to the art, design, architecture, and media studies worlds that she is so familiar with from her work as a professor at Penn and a million other places. So it's a really exciting moment for Metro. And we'll have Nick Buron, the chief librarian at Queens Public Library, becoming our next board president. So thank you to Nick as well. I also want to take a second to thank consultants who like sometimes, they don't get the attention that they deserve. And they're in this last year, consultants have been really helpful to Metro in moving forward some of our projects. Memory Rising, I know Era is actually part of the audience right now, wrote a report that's been really important to us about climate change exposure in the Metro region. And we continue to like work toward ways to address that with our members. It's going to be an ongoing theme for quite some time, right? So thank you to her. Thank you to Frog House, who have helped us with the library field design and strategy. Those of you who have gone to libraryfield.org see some of their work. And they also helped us with this new Metro brand identity that I'm super excited to show off to all of you. Finally, BKS Studio, Sarah and Itza, friends of ours who are PhD candidates out at the University of Washington, have been helping us with a series of community engagement exercises, as well as other strategy for the library field. And so can't say enough good things about all of these folks. And from there, I just want to get into a little bit of it. So first of all, just a reminder that Metro has moved around a bit over the years, and this is a nice kind of reflection on where we've been. When I started here, like 9 years ago now, time flies, we were down at University Place and 11th Street in Manhattan. Then we moved over to our studio space on 11th Avenue and 45th Street. And with COVID, we became this remote-only organization, which has opened up all kinds of new opportunities as well as new challenges for us. And one of the things I'm super proud of this year is this new mission statement that we have worked toward. And the reason I'm proud of it is not just because of what it says, and I'm not going to read it to you, but I'm super proud of it because of the process and the way that we went about this. Our entire staff thought about this, our entire board thought about this, and then we sent it out to the membership. And thank you to our members who actually came back with some edits and suggestions that we really took to heart, and that you see reflected here. So I'm psyched about this. Thank you. And now I want to give you like the teaser of what our new look is going to be like at Metro. This is going to take a little while to implement. We just finished the branding process with Frog House, and it was a great process. Again, the staff was a huge part of all of this. Over the next year, we'll start to figure out how to implement this across everything we do. But here you go. This is the new Metro. This is our new look, our new colors. I'm super excited about it. I feel like it conveys the kind of modularity of the organization and the way that we sort of bring everybody together. And I think it's a really cool refresh. This is how we can be a little bit more like dressed up when we need to. Hopefully we're going to have some really cool things to give away and share with the membership. I know that's a bag that I'd be psyched to be carrying around myself. So happy to share that with all of you, and you can watch as all of the stuff that we do starts to look this way in the future. So let's get into the work. And again, bear with me because I'm talking about really great things that other people have done, and I'm so proud of their work. And so here we go. First, I want to talk just a little bit about some of our sort of core services, things that members really expect from us and have been around for many, many years. As some of you know, we are the means by which hospital library service funds are administered and distributed in our region. And, here are a few figures about how we've actually done that. And I also want to point to our popular delivery service, which we subsidize through state funding and is absolutely critical to a lot of the work that goes on. And a big thanks to Tim and to Mark and to Kyle and to Anne, as they have managed these programs and made sure that they're like responsive and the things that people need. Let's hop over to Tracy and Mary, who are so kind as to be helping to host this entire webinar. Thank you so much. And, I don't know how aware everybody on this call is, but we do an absolute like ton of events and programs of all sorts throughout the year. This year, you can see the figures, 45 continuing education events. I think, if I remember correctly, 33 of them were remote. But there are a lot of in-person things as well. And it's important to recognize the program advisory committee that we put together every year too, so that we can make sure that the programs we're delivering to y'all are like actually the things that you want. And we're really grateful for that kind of input. It's how we all work together to make things effective. This was a great year for some of these in-person events. I just want to point to one in particular here that was a huge hit that we did at the Brooklyn Public Library, at their Brooklyn Heights branch and at the Center for Brooklyn History, a symposium called Rest, Reset, and Reengage, where we actually partnered with the human resources departments at these places and really, pulled together a day that was just wildly exciting. I had so much fun at this. And I'm excited for more of these kinds of events. Mary and Tracy have done an amazing job with it. We also, because we are all in a region with so many interesting libraries and archives and museums, we have these tours. And, here's an image of that new library at the Museum of Natural History that if you haven't been to, you should totally go to. And some of the exhibits and other things that we've brought folks around to, and more of that coming in the future. And then all of the grants and special programs that go on. And this is, again, just kind of a sampling because there's so much work. Really proud of the Fridays in May program that we did in collaboration with NYU and Pratt. Thank you, Tracy, for being such an amazing leader with that. Also, the Equity in Action grants that we gave out to members that sort of blend into the way that we handle digitization grants. And the digitization grants are as popular as ever. I was just talking with the team just the other day, and we're about to award the next round of them. And there have been so many applications and proposals and really interesting stuff. So I'm excited to be announcing those very soon. Now, the digitization grants are a great bridge over to our digital services work, the work of Allison and Diego, in combination with help from others in different teams. One of the things that we offer with those digitization grants is the opportunity to take the content that was digitized, and we have a way of hosting it in our sort of community garden, the digital culture of metropolitan New York, as well as, of course, people could do whatever they want with those files and publish them in their own systems. These are some of the new partners and collections that we added in 2024, with many more coming. It's been a really wonderful and successful service. And of course, we're able to do all of this with DCMNY because Metro committed years ago now to being the home and sort of institutional support for an open source repository software project designed and built by Diego with Allison's help, called Archipelago Commons. And this is really where you start to see Metro working at these different kind of like regional levels. Well, we have this local this local audience that is super important to us. We also have to work statewide, nationally, and internationally in order to create the kinds of tools and services that are going to make our local community strong. And so the Archipelago team has been doing all kinds of fantastic stuff. I won't get into technical details here, but if you are technically inclined, you'll see some of the things coming with our next release. We have some really interesting new partners and projects going on. Super excited to be working with the New York State Archives, with the DC Public Library, and a really interesting museum in Southern Florida called the Revs Institute, in which we're actually incorporating some machine learning into their cataloging workflows. Many more things about this. And of course, if anyone's interested, you can always check it out. And that team has been all over the place, talking to people, showing off the work, and really acting as leaders in the field. Allison was presenting at the IIIF conference in Los Angeles recently. Diego did a couple of presentations in Sweden at the Open Repositories Conference. We're always even more excited when our partners who are actually using this stuff are the ones who are going to conferences and presenting about it. And then finally, I just want to point to Invest in Open Infrastructure's InfraFinder tool. Archipelago Commons has now been listed in there, so it's another way to discover that work and what we're up to. The next group that I want to talk about is the Digital Equity Research Center. Some of you will remember that with the American Rescue Plan Act a few years ago, we had an abundance of funding that we were distributing to our members for work that somehow related to digital equity, knowing that the Digital Equity Act was coming and that we wanted to build capacity in libraries to address these issues. One of the things that was great for us that came out of ARPA, the American Rescue Plan Act, was the opportunity to hire Dr. Colin Rinesmith and program manager Becca Kwan, so that we could create this research center and create sort of a lasting place where we could engage in research around digital equity in order to really prepare our libraries for the future funding that has been coming, and to make sure that libraries are a part of the way that we think about this work. So these guys have been crazy busy, again, working both like locally, regionally, statewide, and nationally on publications, conference contributions, events, just so much work going on. These are two of the papers that you can actually find on our website, or if you go to the dercenter.org, you can learn more about this work that is really guiding national efforts, again, as we move toward a great deal of funding potentially being available to libraries and their partners. The partner part is so important because really the Digital Equity Research Center's work is pointing to digital equity coalitions and networks and the way that communities have to work together for these things. Here's another example of something that's going to be coming out very soon. And I just can't say enough about how proud I am of the work that these folks do and how long-term impact that is going to have for our members and for libraries in general. So from there, I want to get into what's next. I'm going to point back to this paper from Memory Rising and say that we've really been puzzling for years now over what our different kinds of interventions are going to be as we consider the very challenging world that we live in now. And I speak of that like thinking of the natural world and how we have just an increased exposure to disasters and of all different sorts. And so this report was instrumental in many of the things that are going to be upcoming. One of the things that it's been instrumental in is the library field. Okay, I'm super excited to talk to you all about this. This is something that we've been cooking up for quite a while now and has really accelerated. And so what we're trying to do here is one of the things that I love about libraries is that libraries are about sharing things. They're not just about sharing books, but they're about sharing all kinds of different things, right? Like we were at an event last night where the library was showing off the musical instruments that they lend and the tools and the different kinds of things that they're able to lend. With Metro as a network of libraries, it really opens up all kinds of interesting possibilities of how we can be helpful in facilitating different kinds of sharing and how we can interrogate the way that we do that already. All of our work is steeped in a history that is sometimes good and sometimes bad. And to have the opportunity to step back, look at sharing, and think about that from multiple perspectives can be really helpful. So one of the other things that happened, as you all know, during the pandemic is we took part in a project called Realm, the Reopening Libraries, Archives, and Museums project, and IMLS and OCLC and Battelle National Laboratories were doing. During that project, and all of you who work in cultural institutions know this, we started to get like an incredible view of all of the innovative things that folks were doing to try to move their services outside because they had to. And there were tons of possibilities. Really, really interesting things came up. And so one of the things I feel really committed to is, you know, when you go through something like a global pandemic, you need to actually change, right? You can't go back to all of the same practices. And you need to investigate the things that were working and think about how we can be prepared and how we can handle the future differently. So the library field is this idea of Metro as a place that can offer a shared outdoor space for libraries to rethink library workers and their communities and patrons to rethink what our relationship is to the outdoor world. We've been moving along with this project for quite a while. This week is a crazy busy week of events going on, thanks to some of our colleagues at Greenpoint, at Ossining, and online on Friday, as well as what we're doing right now. So we're continuing to move this project forward, and I'm going to be happy to answer any questions about this in the future. You can expect like a special like webinar that's like an Ask Me Anything if you'd like to talk about it more. And we're really looking at growing our network, really thinking in an ecosystemic kind of way about how libraries can work with their partners in different kinds of spaces. So this is like hopefully a really like generative kind of list for all of you. If anybody's seeing this and saying, well, what about this group? Then, well, they probably should be on there as well. these are our friends Itza and Sarah from BKS Studio, who have been working with us on some of these community engagement events. It's not too late to sign up for some of these things. We are working on these two outdoor imaginings that are going to be in August. One will be at Hilltop Hanover Farm. Will be a really interesting experience. And there will be a camp out at Ward Pound Ridge Reservation, a library camp out. How much fun is that? So hopefully some of you can come to this. And I'm super excited to say that like this is not all theoretical, that actually I have a contract in my inbox right now that will be signed today for an outdoor location that we are pursuing. Of course, that it's under contract does not mean this is a done deal yet. It'll probably be as long as a year before we would actually close on this rather large and exciting place. I can tell you that if this goes through, it is not far from train. It's really easy to get to by train, and it's also fairly easy to get to by car if you're so inclined. So much more news about that coming. I want to point to the fact that like none of this came out of nowhere. There's been a long environmental scan, and Metro is hardly the only place to be considering this kind of work. I am so excited about some of the projects that I've discovered and colleagues that I've met during the environmental scan and the research process for this new project. And they're here today, which is so cool. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to hand this off next to Sue Buswell, who is the library farm manager up in Onondaga County in Cicero, New York. Her project is super inspiring to me. And after Sue, we're just going to pass it around to each presenter who will introduce themselves. And so with that, thank you, everybody, really.